A very good morning to all of you people. I'm Amit Sani and I welcome you to StudyIQ in the Hindu paper analysis. These videos of Hindu paper analysis, they come in the morning, and in the evening the PIB analysis videos, they come. And you see the information which is common between both of them. I discuss them in the PIB section or the Hindu paper section, so there is no overlap of the information. And the PDFs you will get on StudyIQ website, on its Telegram channel, and on my Facebook group of IAS preparation. So that's the thing. And now we would start the lesson. Just a second. Okay, so keep writing your story. Every day is a challenge for you people, and every day you fight many battles. It's totally a consistent battle with yourself only. So be motivated and keep writing your unique story, because this story is not for anyone else. It's your story, unique story. Next, these pen drive courses by StudyIQ, these are made by experts and they are certainly going to make you successful in the examination. So inquire about them asking on this number. Call on this number. And these are vocabularies. I found them here in the article section. And you see, Monday to Thursday, these are the days when maximum number of articles appear. So in the next 2 days, we will discuss one article that will be left today. And regarding these articles, this escape option, not much important for us from the exam point of view, but from the general knowledge point of view, this Brexit is very important, because this is the huge issue going on for 2 years now. In June 2016, a referendum happened regarding the Brexit, that they should remain in European Union or not. European Union is a organization started back in 90s especially, and 28 members are there, but UK is feeling like it is in loss, some kind of loss if it is remaining in EU. So they want to move out, but you see this situation is not so simple. Half of the population, they don't want to leave the EU, and half of the population, they want it. So 51.9% votes, they were in the favor of Brexit, that they should move out. But you see, Theresa May, she is the Prime Minister and she is facing the non-confidence motion, the same process which is followed in India also, because mainly India is following the British process. So no confidence motion is going on against her, and anyhow she came clear out of it. She won it. But the challenge remains, and she has been saying that painstakingly, I am giving a proposal and please support me. We should be out of EU so that it would be useful for us. But that thing is not possible, and the deadline is given 29th of March. But it is not seemingly possible now, and they may have to postpone it. That's the situation right now. Many articles will keep coming regarding this Brexit, but that's the important thing. And search for European Union on the Wikipedia and learn about the details. They may be asked in the prelims examination. Next article is somehow political. They regarding the charge sheet filed again Umar Khalid and JNU's president Kanhaiya Kumar. After 3 years of the incident, now when the Lok Sabha elections are pending, they are filing the charge sheet now. So writer is saying it's totally political a move, and these are students and these are young minds. Maybe they became angry at that time, but sedition charge is a draconian charge. It's so huge that it cannot be implemented so lightly. But you see, it was also applied to some people who were protesting against this citizenship amendment bill which is going on in Assam. Okay, so regarding that they were protesting. So it's a draconian rule which started actually back in a British era, and at that time Britishers were having a lot of fear that if they will be exposed in the eyes of Indians, so our days will not be longer here. So we will have to move out from here, because these all people will kick us out. So that was the reason that they put these kind of laws, the draconian sedition law. But still it is going on in India, and governments and executives, they are always under these allegations that they use it unscrupulously. So that's why it is the issue. So it's more a political issue, and things will keep coming, and bigger articles will keep coming on this issue. So then we will discuss it. Next, the Manipur shows the way. Very important article related with GS paper 1, 2 and 4 also, and the essay topics, they also sometimes based on these issues of mob lynching and intolerance, and the debate is going on. So this issue is very very important, and this article we will be discussing tomorrow. And this main article, which is based on information, a lot of information regarding the Skill India program and the NSQF framework. Regarding that, they are saying that we are moving in a right direction, but still a lot need to be done. So we will discuss this article in detail, and we will discuss the AIIB's third anniversary and what is the importance still lies here. So regarding that, we will discuss. It's important in GS paper 3, and this NSQF, that's important for GS paper 2 and 3 both. Next, Manipur shows the way. You see, it is regarding the mob lynching issue where the law was needed 6 months back, when Supreme Court, anguished by what is described as horrific acts of mobocracy, means when democracy is overtaken by mob, when mob is ruling the people, mob is dictating that what you should eat, what you should say, what you should wear. So when mob decides about it, and it's a fear of mob that anybody can target a single person and they can beat him, they may even kill him. So that's all about mobocracy. So this mobocracy is the biggest danger to democracy, because freedom is the most important thing in democracy, and without freedom no system can work. People will be afraid, and it is never can be called a it can never be called a democracy. So this horrific acts of mobocracy, regarding that Supreme Court gave this verdict, and it gave direction to the parliament and to the states both that make laws regarding this. This is the we can say that it's a black spot on our democracy. So direction to the union and the state governments were released, and court felt at that time compelled to act on this issue. So Manipur law is a first light here. Now you see, it is comprehensive in its definition. Why? Because it has described in detail that what would be the norms and what would be the way here. It has explained that what would be called a mob and who will be targeted, what should be the compensation issues and all. So regarding that, first they are saying that there will be created a nodal officer, okay, to control such crimes in every state. Special courts and enhanced punishments would be there. So nodal officer would be there, first thing. Now see, the main issue with this law, Manipur law, it lies in its significance and the ultimate need that was there. You see, significance lies in that it breaks new ground in some critical matters concerning hate violence in India. You see, this issue of intolerance is rising, and now it is going to be the election season. So many crimes will be conducted, because mostly they are motivated by politics, and politics drive these mobs, because the main backing comes from politics only. Now see, here this Manipur law came. This is the first law. No state, no center could create an efficient law, but Manipur law is going to be very important here, because it's a serious law and it amends a lot of important provisions. Its definition of lynching is comprehensive. It says in detail that any act or series of acts of violence or aiding, if you are aiding it, that is also going to be a mobocracy and a mob lynching. Abetting such acts, whether spontaneous or planned, both kinds. It's not based on somebody's anger that spontaneously he became angry and they attacked someone. It's not like that. Both will be counted as mob lynching, spontaneous or planned, both, but by a mob only. They are citing only the word mob here. That is the problem with this law also, because hate lies in the basis. Hate is the main reason. If you are hating somebody out of some difference, because somebody is not saying any slogan, Bharat Mata like slogans, or if anybody is eating or insulting something that is not according to the religious norms, and out of tradition somebody is saying that, then hate is the basis when somebody is attacked and people take law in their hand. And mob is a kind of entity where you cannot decide about the allegation, that who started it first and who is mainly responsible. Whole mob is responsible, so it's very difficult to put charge on it. So now what is the problem? The word of mob, by a mob, is only used here if any ground is there related to religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, even dietary practices, sexual orientations, because these are also becoming very crucial issues these days, the homosexuality and all. So these all will be ground where it will be declared that mob has attacked somebody. And now it requires that these hate crimes are undertaken by mobs. Okay, you see, only word of mob which is used here, that is according to the recent observation, but one lack is there, that it is excluding solitary hate crimes. If single person is attacking any other person out of hate, that is again going to be a lynching, that is going to be a solitary lynching. That should have been here in this provision, but that's not there. It's only regarding the mob lynching. And the writer says that hate is there in both the cases. Hate is the basis of solitary crime and the mob's crime, so that these both should be there, and the provision regarding both should have been there, but it's only regarding mobs. This restriction of numbers is arbitrary. The motivation of hate is actually the basis of these crimes, and this particular provision should apply to all hate crimes. That's the issue here. Next, regarding the public official, that the most important component of this Manipur law. What is that? The role of public officials, the police officer, the administration and all. You see, it lays down that any police officer directly in charge of maintaining law and order in the area, if he or she omits to exercise lawful authority vested in them under the law, if somebody is their official duty, if they are not doing that, because it is seen in the normal mob lynching cases, where maybe in these police officers, they are reaching very late, they are reaching after the incident that has happened, and maybe they are not taking the victim to the hospital, maybe they are ensuring, in some cases it is seen that they are ensuring that that person dies, so that no evidence is left. Okay, because sometimes it becomes very, very clear that mob lynching has happened and police has not taken any kind of action, so they leave that person to die, so that no evidence can be given, and later politically we can handle this situation. I'm not saying that police officers are all like this, it's not like that, but extreme pressure is there. And I always say that these are the most suppressed people in the police department, because what would they do? They have political pressure and they need to manage these mobs, and they need to maintain their official duties also. That's their ultimate duty, that they should do their work according to their mandate, but they are not able to do because a lot of pressure is there, and they are doing their duty under the direction from the seniors. So that's the greatest dilemma, difficulty and trouble with these police officers. These are poor people, but you see, in some cases they also are the party in these mob lynching, and we have seen a lot. And that's why this this Manipur law put these provisions that that person can be indicted now, and there would be punishment for that person, maybe for 1 year, and it may be extended to 3 years now. Okay, and this law is going to be first in the country which is going to deal with the public officials, because this is going to be a new crime of dereliction. Dereliction of duty of public officials means they are not performing their duty, and because this thing was seen in most of these cases, now they are putting this into frame that this is the dereliction of duty of public officials. And now equally path breaking is that it removes the protection that is otherwise extended to public officials. There used to be a protection for these public officials. You see, if they need to fire on any kind of mob or any kind of person in their official capacity, then this was the protection given to these public officials, and we need to take permission from state first. So permission from the state, that was required. Now in this law, this condition is removed. They will say that no prior sanction is needed now, otherwise this issue becomes unmanageable. later. And this law means that now no prior sanction is required to register crimes against public officials. Crimes can be registered now without state consent. In almost every incident of the hate crime, police arrived lately, deliberately sometimes, delayed taking those injured to hospital, and ensuring their death, as I told you. And they tended to register criminal cases against the victims only, not on the culprits, on the victims. It is seen that these victims are having the pressure now. A lot of crimes, a lot of cases are filed against them only, even they are victims. But see, second most important contribution in this law, that is does away with the requirement of prior state sanction before acting on the hate crime also. You see, a prior sanction was needed to register the case against the public official. That was a separate case, and here it's a separate case where prior sanction is needed to act on these hate crimes also, and that's bizarre. And it's the again a draconian section in IPC of 153A. I told you these are all British laws, and that's why these kind of laws are going on, but we are not changing them, and that's a bizarre thing. And Supreme Court is targeting these sections now. Now they say that 153A, according to it, prior consent of state was needed in handling these hate crimes. Now that would not be needed. No permission is required. That's a nice thing to do. Third substantial feature is that duty and responsibility of that state government to make arrangements for the protection. Means in all the cases, this is seen that, as I told you, all cases are filed against these victims only, and they are thrown out of their areas, and they have no support. Mostly these are weaker sections, mostly these are poor people. So the protection would be the responsibility of the state, and it would be duty of the state official to prevent a hostile environment also. Earlier they were not taking steps to stop this environment from becoming a hateful environment, but now they need to take the steps. This is mandatory on the state. Now, next, last substantial contribution of this particular Manipur law. What is that? It is requiring the state to formulate a scheme for relief camps and rehabilitation. You see, these are main issues after the incident happened. After the incident, what happens? As I told you, these are thrown out of their places, and they are hounded by powerful people, and they are not allowed to settle back in their places. So that's why rehabilitation would be the responsibility of the states, and camps would be created for them. And in most cases of lynching, we have found that states have only criminalized the victims. That's a strange thing and the most inhumane thing, where those are victims and they are criminalized. That thing should not be happen now, and that would be a mandatory condition of the state to take care of this thing. Next, gender sensitive reparation. As I told you, mostly weaker sections are at the target. Women, old age people, and kids, they are at the target. So gender sensitive reparation should be there. There should be compensation, and even they are demanding monthly pensions for these people who are the victims of mob lynching. You see, this situation is not imaginable to us when we are reading these articles and all, but you see, this is one of the most horrified incident that can ever happen in humanity, when mobs, they hound somebody and they kill that person. It's an unimaginable situation, and that's why court is taking so stern these actions. Okay, so this article was all about, and it's a very important initiative by the Manipur court. Now, Manipur legislature. Now learning to compete. It's regarding the India's skill program. You see, India is a young nation, and 65% of the population is under 15 to 65 age group. That's the reality. So what do we need to have a progress in our economy as a nation? We need skilling of this population. Without skilling, this demographic dividend will become a demographic drag. That's the reality. If, as I always give this example, if one family is having 2 kids and the other family is having 7 kids, if 7 kids all are earning in the future, then that family becomes very rich. If those are not earning, then that family becomes the poorest one, because they all will become the drag. They will be unnecessary weight on that family. So the same thing can happen with the youth of India if these are not skilled. And you see, other problems are again a big issue. Apart from the unemployment, the issues of these mob lynching, terrorist invocation, and they are taking part in various anti-social activities and also all these things are related with this skill agenda indirectly. So these things are relatable. In the mains examination, you will relate all these things because in the mains answer, all these linkages are very, very important. You see, in 2013, India's skill agenda got a push when government introduced the National Skill Qualification Framework, NSQF, and there was an agency called National Skill Development Corporation, NSDC, that is the nodal agency. And you see, in this framework, we decided some norms, we decided to give vocational courses, we decided to give vocational education to school kids and the college going students. Now qualifications according to a series of level of knowledge and skill that is provided under this, and there are levels. You see, suppose level 1 is there for the class 9, 1, 2, 3, 4 for 10th, 11th and 12th, and 5 and 7 level corresponds to the undergraduate education. So these are all informations, nothing to explain here. And you see, according to the needs of particular professions, these courses are created. But the problem here is that these are not up to the mark. These are not efficient. We have created these courses, but these are not efficient. You see, December 27, 2018 was the last date to implement this framework, and ministry mandated that all training education programs or the courses be NSQF compliant. They should be according to this framework, and these institutions, they should define eligibility criteria for admission to these various courses, and these all courses are run according to the National Skill Qualification Framework. But there are lacks. You see, event happened, that was a national skill competition or India Skills. 27 states took part in this, and you see, there is going to be a world skill competition, 45th world skill competition later in this year in the country of Russia. So they are saying that this particular event of India Skills, it has given us a lot of insight, a lot of reality. It has shown to us that we are not ready for this competition because our standards, our knowledge, our skills are not up to the mark, and here we may fail. If with the same kind of same level of preparation we are moving towards this skill competition, world level skill competition, then it's going to be a problem. And now the positive thing is that AB Olympics was also included in India Skill 2018. This event was very specific. Why? I tell you, there are issues that 27 states took part in it, and they invited all the students or aspirants who took this skill training from various levels and institutions. I tell you, what are these various levels? There are 5 pillars of skill ecosystem in India. One category where secondary schools, polytechnics, according to the NSQ framework, they are providing training. Okay, industrial training institutes which are not coming in under this NSQ framework, they are also providing training. And the NSDC funded private training providers, they are also providing training to aspirants. And 16 ministries, they are providing short-term training to aspirants, and individual employers, they are also providing training. So these are 5 main categories which are creating this skill ecosystem in India. Okay, so all were invited in this particular India Skill program event, and you see, that was a positive thing of this particular event, because they it was not like that they only allowed these NSQF compliant training takers. They also invited these industrial training institute trained people and these private individual employers who gave training to these aspirants. So in this India Skill program, they invited all of them, and that was the positive highlight of this event. Otherwise, if they would have invited only these NSQF framework affiliated aspirants, then this event would have been a failure, complete failure. But still there is hope. there is hope that these industrial training institutions and these private individual employers who are related with corporates and all, they are giving good training. And actually these people who came from these industries and all, they performed very well. Mainly they are in Maharashtra, so Maharashtra performed very well, and Odisha second, Delhi third. That was the ranking in this event. So there are some observations. What are these observations here? India Skill was open to all these government industrial training houses, engineering colleges and all. Everyone was invited. Majority of these participants were from corporates and industrial trainings, and these only won all these medals, and they performed very well, and they are out of NSQF framework. That's the main thing. Our NSQF is not compliant to industry and the corporates, which are the main performers, which are the main job givers, and on the international platform, these are the main drivers of the economies. And here we are not complying with these trainings. So our training which we are providing in the NSQF is not industry compliant, and that's why it's not efficient, and that's why it would be a foolish idea to go with this level courses and education in the Word platform. So that's the issue. Now you see, less than 20% were from the short-term courses of NSDC. The people who took part in this event, less than 20% were from this NSQF framework, and neither industrial training institutes nor corporates are aligned with the NSQF. So there was a Sharda Prasad expert group report. What it said? It said that India Skill Competition has provided evidence that many reforms are needed, and these are very, very critical, and urgently you should work on these things, and you should realign these courses, and you should reassess their performance and the need for more holistic training is there. You need to re-examine the narrow short-term NSQF based NSDC courses, and this particular expert group has given us the data that NSQF has not been well accepted or well adopted across India, because mainly the performers were out of this framework. That's the main issue. And you have combined it with the education sector. You are providing courses in the schools, in colleges and all. So Ministry of HRD and Ministry of Skill Development, they are working together, but still there are differences. Unlike for the general academic education, where you see when we pass 8th we go to 9th, when we pass 9th we go to 10th class. So this thing doesn't happen with these courses. There are no parameters to evaluate that this level is completed, now we should move towards the next level. It is not like that with the NSQF framework and their courses. This thing is there in the education sector, where one class is passed and you are moving to the next. This thing is not compliant with the NSQF framework. That's the main problem, and this alignment is actually meaningless. Okay, so there is no real alignment between these ministries, both that I mentioned here. So apart from this problem, there is a bigger problem, that there are too many councils. There are sector skill councils. These are in India and these are also in other countries. But you see the main problem here, we have specified them a lot in number. There were 40 SSCs, 40 sector skill councils, and these 40 were unnecessary. You see right now there are 38, but out of these 38, only half of them, 19 participated in India Skill 2018. Why? These were not confident and these were not ready for these competition, and even when they are not ready for the national level competition, how they can perform in the world level competition? You see the main problem here is that we need to broaden our categories. For example, for iron, steel, strategic manufacturing and capital goods, there are 4 categories in India. There are 4 SSCs, and on the international level there is only 1 SSC. So there is a difference between our standard and on the international standard, and there is no reason to have 4 SSCs. We need to combine them because interrelated links are there and these skills are interrelated. So when we will combine all these categories, then only our courses will be efficient and our trainings will be output giving trainings. So that's the thing. So we need to go with the word standard, the way they have made categories, broad categories. our categories are narrow. These are not broad categories. And it was a mistake to create 40 SSCs. These are ineffective. And we must find a way to provide broader skills in broader occupational groups. And as I told you, the main emphasis should be there on the industry and on the corporate sector. And you see, holistic skills are needed, and they are only going to be developed out of these broad categories, which the countries like Germany, Russia, these are following. We are not following that. So we need to learn from these countries. And sectors should be consolidated in line with the National Industrial Classification of India, because our industrial classification is different and our skilling program is different. So we need to go according to the industrial classification, because that is the main employment giver, and they need higher skilling. So according to that, we should prepare students. Now in Germany there are only 340 occupation groups, so we should also make lesser occupational groups. And vocational education must be imparted in broadly defined occupational skills. Skill India needs a sharp realignment. Although we are moving in a right direction, we have taken steps and we have created all these agencies and all, but a lot of realignment and the upgradation is needed. So it's all about this skilling scenario in India, well, very crucial area. Next is regarding the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. In 2016 prelims, the question was asked regarding the headquarters, which is in Beijing, China, and this was started 3 years back in January 16. So January 16 is the starting date. So it's a third anniversary for AIIB, and the main issue is that China was the main pusher for this AIIB, and the headquarters is also there in AIIB. And at that time, New Development Bank, which is the BRICS bank, and we were the main supporters of it. This issue was going on at that time, but China proposed a bigger idea of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which is going to work in the infrastructure and the investment area. That's the ultimate need of the Asian nations, because mainly the members are Asian nations. India is a founding member, and there is a very bright and positive platforms here with AIIB. I tell you some facts. India has been the bank's biggest beneficiary till now. India enjoy a permanent seat on the bank's board of directors. You see, it has become a huge deal, and USA is opposing this idea of AIIB, and here we are respected. Here we have got a permanent seat here that we don't have in Bretton Woods institutions like World Bank and IMF, which were created after World War II, and they were dominating the scene after World War II area scenario, when Cold War was going on, and in 1991 we need to take loan from IMF and all conditions were put on us. So IMF and all, they help, but a lot of conditions they put on countries, and the countries like USA, they dominate these institutions. So they are never ready to give any kind of supportive assistance to countries like India and all. So we are always begging there. We don't anyhow take active participation in their management, but here we are in the management. So it's a great thing, and we have a rivalry with China, but still this institution is giving us a lot of respect, and we are the biggest beneficiary here. And bank has been both a rule maker and the rule taker, devising innovation in multilateral development finances. Means this bank is going very in the right direction. It's a rule maker and it's a rule taker also. It takes suggestions also, and its working is very positive, because you see, its financing is socially conscious and prudent and attested by its AAA credit rating. It has been conferred with the AAA rating. That's a very good rating. So this management and the financing is going in a very right direction and according to our needs, because as I told you, mainly the founding members are developing nations. Okay, and it is very beneficial for us. NDC was also beneficial for us, New Development Bank, NDB, or the BRICS Bank, but that's a smaller one, and AIIB is a huge deal, and its projects are co-financed with the World Bank and Asian Development Bank. This ADB, its headquarters is in Philippines, Manila. So when these are co-financed, means it is going with the collaboration with these important institutions. So there is no resistance and there is no tussle between these institutions, which is mainly seen with big organizations like WTO, IMF and all. So there is no ego with AIIB. And US sought to decide from it in 2016, saying that we have concerns related to governance and environmental and social safeguards. So we don't trust us. but the actual reality was the rivalry with China. The China factor was the main thing, and US already knew that if China is proposing this idea, we will never be able to rule this organization the way we rule others. So that was the main issue. But you see, the members are these countries, mainly Asian countries, and these are the members. USA is not a member, and Japan is also not a member. So these are out of it. So mainly these developing countries are importantly in these founding members list. India is also having great advantage here. And you see, now when everything is going fine with AIB, it should develop a wide portfolio of projects, and we are very much positive about it. We have high aspirations here that it should widen its portfolio to urban transport, smart cities project, SWM, waste management, and renewable energy, and all these goals, which are the main aims for these developing nations, which are the main challenges for these developing nations. So along with the new development bank, if it goes positively with a nice collaboration, then it is going to be greatly helpful for developing nations like India. Okay, and again, when we talked about the Afghanistan situation, where India and China can work in consonance and they can work actively with each other, it is the economic area and the international platform also, where India and China can work with a nice collaboration, with a nice active participation with each other. So that's a positive side, a bright side. And US again is distracted, because you see US maintains a issue of what we call the phrase at a dog in a manger situation, where it wants to take all the advantage in these institutions. It wants to rule these institutions like IMF and all, and it does not want to give support to other nations like India or any other nation. So it's the situation of US, and this particular starting of this AIIB is actually a beginning of system-wide reform and overhaul that is extremely needed in the international scenario, whether it's about a trade scenario, tariff scenario, or the a bilateral scene, or any kind of a world order is there. Then these reforms and overhaul is needed when this power is shifting from the Western world to Eastern world. Okay, this is the Eastern Asian century. 21st century is the Asian century. So that's why it's becoming very important. And as these organizations like AIIB and NDB, they are strengthened, it will be very much beneficial for a country like India. Next important news is the Justice Maheshwari, Dinesh Maheshwari and Justice Khanna. They are made SC judges. Their elevation came from High Court of Karnataka and High Court of Delhi. Khanna came from Delhi and Maheshwari came from Karnataka High Court. And you see the controversial issue of Justice Sanjeev Khanna, because he is not a senior most. 32 people are there above him on the list. But the controversy is again raised when Kurian Joseph, who was raised to Supreme Court judge, his appointment was delayed for 1 year, and government was giving this argument that he is not a senior most person. But the actual tussle was when Kurian Joseph actually quashed the presidential rule which was put up by BJP in Uttarakhand. So out of that tussle, BJP did not elevate his name, but this time this person Sanjeev Khanna, who is also not a senior member, and 32 people are above him, but still they have elevated his name. So that's the thing. So this Collegium System and this debate of NJAC questioning, they declared it null and void, and this reforms in the Collegium Systems which are needed. So collect all the data regarding this, and this is going to be very important in the mains questioning, and certainly one question will come from this area. Next, 10% contain all admissions for educational institutes in 2019 and 20 batch. It will be starting alongside with the jobs, and I discussed this in detail in the last yesterday's PIB analysis video. Okay, so you can watch that. And 7th pay commission is also extended to these teachers and staffs and all, which was due till now. And this data also I discussed yesterday in the PIB video, where Narega gets additional 6,084 crore rupees allocation, and this is how it became the highest ever allocation to Narega in a single annual year. 61,084 crore is the allocation in total if we count states also. So 2-3 days back there was a news that 99% of funds are exhausted and 3 months are left till now. So additional grant is given to Narega and it became a highest ever allocation. Now Numaligarh refinery capacity to be tripled. You must have heard about the Bongaigaon, Digboy, and these are important areas where oil extraction is there, and there is refineries. There are refineries. Numaligarh refinery is there. It is in Assam, and the cabinet note has been given to it so that the capacity would be tripled, and one pipeline would be created. It will reach till Paradeep. Paradeep is important port here in Odisha. So this will be the important map. Next, RBI eases norms for external commercial borrowing. ECB. What is this ECB? When these corporate companies and PSUs, they want to borrow money from the external market or outside India, so this money they can take directly without any authorization from the government. It's the external commercial borrowing. Okay, and here this money cannot be used for investment in stocks, stock market or a real estate market. That's prohibited, and RBI is the main regulator here, and mainly the Department of Economic Affairs under the Ministry of Finance that handles this ECB borrowing norms. Okay, so by Indian corporation or PSUs, these are taken widely. So these are a simple commercial borrowing, but from outside India by a non-resident Indian. Now some inspiring young Indians. M. Gukesh became the youngest Indian grandmaster in chess competition, which happened in Mumbai, held in Mumbai. And Sri Hari Nataraj, he is the person from Karnataka, and he won 7 gold medals in the ongoing Khelo India program. So he is aiming for the 2024 Olympics. Maybe he will make it. He looks like that person, Michael Phelps. He was the greatest one in the swimming. So this is all about today, and these are the MCQs. ECB is done by SEBI, and also there is the important question regarding the ECB, regarding the European Union, and one important map question. You see, find these Strait of Malacca and Strait of Makassar in this map. Very important issues. Strait of Malacca is extremely important from the logistic transportation in the world trade, and you will find them in this map, and find these cities according to the latitudes and according to the longitudes, which is located from west to east or east to west or north to south. Extremely important in the UPSC point of view, and from this area a lot of questions they have come. 2 areas are very important. This area of Indonesia and all these islands and all these straits are there, and other area is the Middle East. From these 2 areas a lot of questions UPSC asks all the time, whether it's about cities or some geographical areas or some water bodies. So that's important. So thanks a lot. This lesson was huge, and the rest of the part, one important article we will discuss tomorrow or day after tomorrow as the time allows. Thank